that you may have planted a hypnotic suggestion in a patient that's going to be abducted so that when they're in their abduction, they're going to rip an eye off an alien. Did you do that?
This is funny. Some of your people are not going to like this at all. The fact is that I had a lady who was an abductee, and she came to me crying. She says, Mr. Sims, they said if I give you any more information, this was 1994, okay. They're going to, 1992, she said, they're going to get my children. I don't know what to do. And I said, I'm between a rock and a hard place. She said, what do you mean? I said, now this is going to sound awful. She says, okay. And I've got an airline pilot who worked for a major airline, sitting right there taking hypnosis training, working with these people. He wanted to learn my techniques for doing this. And I said, you're a better spy for me than anyone I've ever had. She said, what do you mean? I said, I get more evidence and more physical evidence from your case than I have all the abductees I've ever had. And I said, sweetie, I said, do you think they're going to come get your kids anyway if they're abductees? And she said, yes. And I said, why are you allowing them to threaten you then with something you already know is going to happen? And she said, well, you need to help me. And I said, well, I am. I said, I thought I had been. She said, well, you have, but she said, but you got to help me defend myself. And I said, well, I kind of didn't want to do that right yet. And she says, why? And I said, because we're getting great information. And I said, but I'll go ahead and do it in the name of humanity, and we'll do this thing. I set a post-hypnotic suggestion in this lady to assault her captor when he got within 20 inches of her. Mm-hmm. A few weeks later, they came back, and all she can ever do is move her head. She tilts her head, and she can see the clock. She can tell you exactly what time it is to come in. She said, that's all I can do is move my neck. Yeah. When he came in, got right next to her, and she looked at him, and then all of a sudden, my suggestions started moving on her, and my suggestions are more powerful than his. Not because Derrel's smart or Derrel's a hot shot, but because I know the level of this guy's intelligence and what he does. And if I'm correct, my suggestions will probably have more impact on him or on her than his will on her. We're going to find out. That's part of the test. She hypnotized the alien with my suggestions, and he came close. She reached up and grabbed his eyepiece and was struggling with him, carrying this thing, got it half off, and they left. I mean, it's freaking out. She described things that only people would know who had messed up in an abduction would know these things, and I knew she was telling the truth. Yeah. And the funny thing about it, she and I installed amnesia because I didn't want her to remember. And she said, I feel my husband and I wanted me to call you because I feel like I've done something really wrong and I don't know what it is. And sure enough, I found that's what she'd done. She said she's not very strong. And I said, well, young lady, I am. I said, I'm a fourth-degree black belt in the martial arts, and I got some other skills. And I said, I'm going to install some of my abilities in you just to see what will happen. The next time he comes in, I couldn't believe. Now, you talk about stupid, beyond that, cosmic stupidity here. Lady tore your eye cover half off. You want to come back for some more? He comes back. This time he's a little afraid of her, and she hypnotizes the guy again, and he just inches toward her because she keeps saying, come closer, come closer. He gets, according to her story, he gets so close, she puts her arm around him, this thing, he's a little skinny, little body, so he can't get his arms loose or anything, grabs his eye cover, and she said, it's like I had just a great deal more strength in my arm, because she's kind of an elderly lady, tore the eye cover clean off. Ew. And then I slowed everything down in slow motion. I said, do you notice anything? She said, oh, my God. And she moves real strange with her arm. That's what's that? She says, something's dripping on my arm.
Alien eye goo?
What is it? I said, what is it? And she said, I don't know. And I said, well, what color is it? And she's kind of a bluish color. And I said, it's not red or something. She said, no. And I said, why not? And she says, the room's got a blue light in it. Well, if it were red, it would look blue if there's a blue light in a room. Mm-hmm. I said, well, I thought it might be motor oil or something. I don't know. But anyway, she describes his eye cover. Under the black eye, she saw a red stippled screen with 5 little white lights running back and forth across, and like an EEG machine. Which some abductees say that some of these guys appear to be biomechanical. Maybe they are. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. One of the physical evidences we have given to me by Dr. Carla Turner was by a lady who was raped. There was a witness present. A man saw her raped by a creature. It looked like a pig, something like a pig, provided by these entities. And they took a vaginal scraping of this lady. Dr. Carter Turner gave me those scrapings. I have them, and a forensic lab looked at it for her, a friend of hers who owns this lab. He says, that compound cannot exist in that matrix, and you will never use my name in association with any discoveries of that phenomena. He said, basically what he was describing is something that was biometallic. We may have the evidence here in our lab.
Interesting. Hey, I'll tell you what, I think it's time, let's go get into it now. The question that was presupposed in the first hour, who do you think they're working for?
Okay, you're going to have to wait for the book on that one. The fact is I'm still doing a lot of research on it. I have, and I will give my bias here. I am a Christian, have been for many years. I got saved at age 6. I don't care what anybody says, likes or dislikes about it. I did not have a religious experience where my parents brainwashed me and told me to be a good little Christian. My parents were not Christians except for a very short period of time before that. They didn't have a clue about much of anything, had no religious training whatsoever. But they experienced the same thing I did, and I gave my heart to the Lord, and he did what his son was supposed to do, and that was to redeem me. And I am more than grateful for what he did in my life and continues to do. That is my personal bias. I am a believer. I'm a Christian. And I do not now, therefore, look with Christian eyes at every little thing in the world. I'm still a cop. I'm still an investigator. I'm still ex-intelligence. I use all of those other eyes, or other hats, if you will, to look at evidence with as well. But the fact is that I think these entities, I think the UFO community is seeing this whole thing incorrectly. And this is pretty arrogant for me to say this. It really is. But if I'm right, we may be onto something. And we have evidence that, again, my evidence and the reactions to things we have done is consistent with those who are, number one, of an intelligence community. They act like we did in the CIA. They lie consistently. They hide, they obfuscate, they do all these things that intelligence communities do because they're hiding what it is they're up to. So who are they working for? The UFO community in general believes that the alien, like the little guy, the little gray, the taller gray, called the doctor, and then you've got the mantis being, and then you've got the humanoid type, you've got the Bigfoot and all these different, and reptiles, and all kinds of stuff.
My favorite. They
think this is what it is that's running the show. I assure you, none of them are in charge of anything. They are not. Speaking to an engineer the other day, he says, he was looking at some of my slides, and he says, wow, he said, I've been to that, that's a Mexican pyramid. I said, well, first of all, sir, they're not Mexican. He said, what are you talking about? I said, those Aztec, Mayans, Toltecs, and so on, Olmecs. I said, the Mexican is a different story totally. I said, somebody else built those. He said, okay. He said, well, those are pyramids built by the Mayans or whomever. I said, first of all, that's the second problem you've made. It's an assumption you made that's totally incorrect. Those are not pyramids. They're not. I showed him a pyramid right next to it, and I said, notice the angle and the slope of the pyramid versus these flat-topped pyramid-like structures. And he said, well, what is it if it's not a pyramid? I said, it's called the ziggurat in the ancient term. What is a ziggurat? I said, ever hear of the Tower of Babel? Yes, that's a ziggurat. And ziggurats appear all over the earth. Well, those are pyramids, sir. They're not pyramids. They're all flat top. Pyramids don't have flat tops. You're wrong again. I said, if you understand the back of your dollar bill, and I'm not a conspiracist, so I'm not going to get into that. If you look at the back of your dollar bill, you will find a ziggurat. That's a pyramid. No, sir, it's not. Look at it carefully. There is no top. There are 13 layers. Now, you can get into conspiracy stuff and say 13 is the number of rebellion, all kinds. I don't care. I'm not interested in that. What I am interested in is the fact is that somebody involved in the government a long, long time ago knew enough about hierarchies in the spirit realm. They got it, and they put it on the back of that dollar bill. They understand this. And I'm not talking about the Secret Society of Masons. I'm not talking about that. This is something a little bigger than that. It's a little bigger than that. The ziggurat is an expose of the, in my opinion, and this is my opinion,
okay,
is an expose